Hi, welcome to Sahara Life, episode number 77. I feel like it's been a while since I made an episode. It has. It's been over a week. I'm crazy busy. But I got an email from somebody who was asking about making a crust for a tart or a pie, and I got in the mood. I got some gorgeous peaches. They smell so good. So I'm going to make some peach pie today. So here is what I did. I took a cup of almonds, raw almonds, and a cup of raw hazelnuts. I soaked them overnight, and then this morning I rinsed them really well, and I threw them in the dehydrator so that they would dry and be crunchy again. Now I have to be honest, the first few times I made anything with nuts, quite frankly, I did not do that. I didn't soak them and dry them and that whole thing. You're supposed to, because there's various reasons. Look them up yourself, but I'll tell you a couple. Especially with almonds, you're really supposed to soak the almonds because in the skin there's, a toxin is released, and then when you soak nuts, it makes them more digestible, etc., etc. You can look up all that information. I didn't die any of the times that I made it without doing that, but today I went all the way, and let's just tell you the ingredients. So, a cup of almonds and a cup of hazelnuts. I got raw hazelnuts and I was really excited, and I just thought that would go really well with peaches. So I'm putting that into my food processor, and I'm just going to process it up. Depending on how much texture you want in your crust is how far you'll pulverize it. I'm not going to go as fine as a powder or like an almond meal because I want it to be pretty textured, but not so much that I'm crunching into a whole piece of nut. Now it's going to bind my nuts together into my crust. This is a really simple crust. I mean, you could essentially use any kind of nut. You could use coconut. I mean, really, you can get very creative, but this is a good base for you to start with. I think my nuts were still a little bit moist too. Anywho, so to bind that, I'm going to be using dates, medjool dates. My dates are really big. So what you could do is measure them out, take out your picks. I used 2 cups of nuts. I could use 2 cups of dates, but that seems kind of excessive to me. So I'm going to start with about 1 cup and then see if I need to add more as I go. And it also depends on the size of your dates, the moistness of your dates. You might want to add a little bit of water or soak the dates. That's also good. And I'm going to put in a ½ teaspoon of sea salt along with it. That combines the flavors, binds them together, yada yada. I might have this pie for dinner tonight, I think. Depends how it comes out. So we're just going to pulse it until it starts to stick together. You can see in the food processor, it starts to fold into itself when it starts clumping together. So I'm just going to pull a little out to test it. Now if I can roll it into a ball and it stays together, then essentially it's great. It's ready to go. Now this isn't like pie crust you make for mainstream pies, because you shouldn't eat that, right? It would have raw eggs or whatever in it. But this is just really a date nut ball. It's really good. It's nice and sweet. I'm going to just pulse it a tiny bit more because, look, a wayward date that didn't get smushed in. Now, this would probably be enough to do a regular 8 or 9 inch pie pan, just the bottom, but I decided to do small tartlets, 4 individual ones, because this way I won't eat the whole pie. Because, once you put the fruit down in the bottom, you sort of feel like you don't want it to get all soggy and everything. So I'll keep a couple at home, and then I'll take one to a friend. Now, I lined my pie tartlet pan with saran wrap. You don't have to do that, especially this kind. It has a little bottom that pops out. I've done it before without it. The reason I am doing that is because I'm not going to have this till later, and after I put the fruit in, then I can just wrap the saran wrap right over it, and it's already, ready to go. And then when I pull it out, plop, all pretty. Okay, so I'm going to take a handful of the crust and put it into each of my pie pans, and then I'm just going to press it down and leaving the space in the middle for my filling. Okay, so I got one tart pan filled, and I'm not going to bore you having you watch me fill the others. These little tart pans, I think you can get them at any kitchen store. I actually bought mine at a yard sale, really cheap. So let me just show you. I just pressed it into the sides, and I scraped off the little bit extra that came off on top, which I threw to the next pan. And when I'm done with whatever's left, I'll just roll into some little balls, or even save as a crumb topping. So, look, it just pops right out, and then I'll pull off the plastic and I have my tart shell. How amazing is that? So easy. Now, you could actually put this in the dehydrator if you're looking for a more drier texture. I'm not tonight looking for that, but you could totally do that. You could throw it in a dehydrator, but you don't need a dehydrator for this at all, because this is ready to go. So I think I'm going to get my others ready, and then just for fun, I'll show you what I'm going to fill it with. I may actually do a couple blueberry and a couple peach. Kind of in the mood for 2 kinds of pie for dinner. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, well, after I pressed all of the tart pans, I started thinking about what fruits I had besides peaches, and I went a little crazy. I had a little fun, and I decided to make 3 different pies, and then I took the last tartlet and just wrapped it up in itself, like I said I was going to do, and that I'm going to stick that in the freezer. This way, on a day when I'm in the mood for pie again, or a tart, I could just pull it out and impress somebody really fast. So here's what I did. I sliced up a peach, took a taste, perfectly sweet. I didn't think I needed to mix it with anything, and I just loaded that into, after I sliced it, I did peel it first because my husband doesn't like the peel of the peach. If it was just for me, I probably wouldn't have bothered, but it does look pretty. So I just sliced it up after peeling it, which was a lot easier to peel than I thought it would be, and just, rolled that in. Then I took some fresh blueberries and threw them in a bowl, and took just a little, teaspoon of agave syrup. You could totally use honey. Stirred that in and let that sit for a minute, and then filled in the other pie shell. And then I remembered that I had fresh cherries. So I stoned a bunch of cherries, cut them in half, and I mixed those up also with a teaspoon of agave. And now I'm going to pour that into the last pie shell, tart shell. I guess it would be a tart shell since that was really a tart pan. Oh, I guess it's good on the amount. I love kitchen gadgets so much, and I was so happy that I had a cherry stoner. It's not a newfangled model. I've seen a few of them now. A little jealous. Mine's a little dated, but it still works really well. You just pinch it and the pit flies out. It's amazing. Okay, so there's that. And on top of that, I poked outside and picked some mint off my, out of my herb pot. I'm just going to put some mint on top of the cherries and stick a little cherry on top of it. Now, I'm going to drizzle a tiny bit of honey on the peaches, just because peaches and honey sounds just delightful with the hazelnut crust. Oh, people. Using my new honey drizzler just to put a teeny tiny drizzle on there. Okay, I'm going to show you how gorgeous this is, and I am so impressed with myself that I decided I'm going to call my friend and tell her she used to come over here and have pie, just so that she could see all 3 of them together. Then she could decide which one she wants. So take a look at this. I'll try to snap a picture too. 3 pies. And I was thinking, it's so easy to make those tart shells that you can make a whole bunch of them and then have all kinds of fresh fruit. And your kids can do you could do a make your own pie instead of a make your own sundae or a make your own tart, Be so nice. And as gorgeous as this is, and as happy as I have been to share with you that really easy crust recipe, I have to tell you what I did with the leftovers. It really is enough for a 9-inch pie pan, so if you want to make 1 pie, go for it, or 1 large tart. Thanks for watching It's a High Raw Life. And Mark, I hope that answered your question on how to make a really easy and fast tart crust. Just gorgeous.